Hey guys, so welcome to Morning Motivation. Today's topic is regarding having that vision and that entrepreneurial desire to lead and to do things a bit different than others, but at the same time still feeling that there are some things holding you back. And so sometimes when we feel discouraged, we don't appreciate or enjoy the system. Hey there. And we don't appreciate or enjoy the system that we are working within. We see shortcomings of it and we're like, I think that this would be much more beneficial to do it this way. And you have these ideas and these passions. It's the same kind of thing that started me with coaching and the style that I'm using now. So I didn't want to be a traditional therapist. I didn't want to be a traditional teacher. I didn't want to even be a traditional coach, and so I wanted to combine all of those components, and it's really become something that has been amazingly my own. It's so fulfilling to be like, I created this, I dreamed it up, and I thought of it. But I want to share with you some of the things that I faced along the way, and some things that you may face also as you're walking into. Love you too. As you walk into your new vision. For one, your vision doesn't have to look like other people's, and so a lot of times it's like, well, this has never been done. Does this mean that there's something wrong with it? Does this mean that maybe I'm just naive and not really sure what I'm doing, and so I'm going to try to do it this way? And then, there are times where I had ideas and I was like, oh, well, I'm going to do it this way. And I tried it. And then it was like, oh, actually, I see why that system was in place. And so there are things like that along the way that, yes, you may be new at it and you may be naive and not 100% sure or know exactly what you're doing, but the commitment to growth and the commitment to continue to get one day stronger, one day better at it, and learn as you go. So even though you still have that vision, even though you still want to see something change for the better, it may not come out right away in the way that you want to. And that should be common sense, but I think for me, I wanted it to be what I had dreamed of in my head, but then realized that no, it needs to be tweaked, this needs to be changed, this needs to be modified, and then it becomes fully what it's supposed to be through that process. A few other things, I realized that it can be really awkward and uncomfortable to take that step out and be like, I want to do something different than what I see around me. So even if you're a teacher in a school and you want to teach certain lessons or teach a certain way that is not the traditional method, and your approach is your own, and you're like, well, nobody else is doing it this way, and it may feel awkward and uncomfortable, and you're like, well, maybe that means it's not working. Sometimes we just need to press into that awkward and uncomfortable and think, okay, well, it's not working slightly in the way that I'm using it, so maybe it needs to be tweaked, but maybe it also just needs to be done over a longer period of time so that you can grow confident in doing that style. And so one thing that I've realized, even, though my teaching career was a couple years ago, is that if I'd stayed with it and if I had continued to press into the difficult things and given myself, obviously, the appropriate breaks, maybe teaching would have gone really well. But for me, I also knew that this was more where my heart was, in doing smaller groups and more individual stuff and more mental health related issues. But I do recognize that there are things that we just need to stay with longer and see them really play out, and that's going to be really what's going to help us to see that growth that we want to see in the long run. So it may be awkward and uncomfortable, but it's also yours. So it's also, you have the ownership of saying, I created this. Yeah, it's a beautiful mess. Yeah, it's kind of all messed up, and I'm still working on it, or whatever it is. But it's yours, that you have ownership, knowing that you created it, that you dreamed it up, that you have the creativity to develop and mature it. And then there's also the imposter syndrome, feeling like you're inadequate in what you're doing with it. And this is something that is really a thief of joy, because it makes us feel, I think, ashamed and like we want to hide, and we don't want to do much with it, it's like, well, I have this dream and idea, but it's safer to sit back and be like, yeah, I want to do this, rather than like actually doing it. Because to do it, we may not always know what we're doing. It may be something that, other people could look at us and say, well, what is she doing? What does she know about that? She's struggled with this in the past, or she's done this in the past. And that fear and those things related to the imposter syndrome, where you think you're an imposter, you're like, I'm a fake, why am I here? What am I trying to do? What am I trying to prove? Nobody's going to actually believe in me. And we can beat ourselves up with these thoughts a lot of times, but once you press through them and you say, I want to do this anyway, and I still love what I'm doing, I still care about this dream and this vision. And the more that I stick with it, and the more that I lean into that pain or that frustration or the awkward, the more that we lean into that and try to figure out what's at the root of it and learn from it, try to separate the good things from the bad things and not just throw it all away as bad. The more that we lean into that, the more you're going to really see your vision come to life. And so even if your vision doesn't look like other people's, you still have, you definitely will have that amazing individuality and that amazing unique journey that is purely yours that you can walk into. So whatever you're looking into, whether it's teaching, coaching, being a therapist, nurse, mom, I don't know, construction worker, I don't know, all of these different fields, there are ways that you can be uniquely you within it. And celebrating that, embracing that, not being scared of it, and not letting those limiting beliefs or those fears get in the way. That's really where the magic happens, because then we get some really cool variety in the fields that we go into. So thank you guys so much for being a part of Morning Motivation. I love leading this each morning, so I hope it's beneficial to you as it is to me. Helps me to keep perspective on how I've been growing and how I can help others. So you guys have a great day. Talk to you later.